What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to the channel. Before we get into this, please make sure you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. My name's Izzy and I'm a journalist, and I make videos here on YouTube about a lot of animal based topics and issues. A lot of them are very much pet based, but other bits and bobs as well. But today we are talking all about the dog meat trade. So this is one of the most talked about animal welfare topics and issues of all time. It's very much discussed worldwide. It's basically widespread across Asia in particular, and it's basically where dogs are farmed and then traded for meat. And this meat will be sold in places like markets and restaurants. And data from the organisation Paws International shows that an estimated 10 million dogs are killed for meat in Southeast Asia alone. But it has been in the news, particularly this year, because earlier this year it was announced that in South Korea the slaughter and sale of dogs for their meat is to become illegal by 2027. So according to a Gallop poll from last year, 8% of people said they had tried dog meat in the last 12 months, which was down from 27% in 2015. And fewer than a fifth of those people said they supported the consumption of dog meat. So in 2023, South Korea alone had around 1,600 dog meat restaurants and 1,150 dog farms. But with the new laws coming into place in 2027, it will mean that they will now have to submit a plan to phase out their businesses to the local authorities. We are going to be discussing both sides of this issue later on, but first, we're heading to Bolton to party like a dachshund. So Pawesome Parties is an organisation that hosts events across England and Scotland. And these events are basically put on to bring families and their dogs together in a place where they can all socialise, and there's music and there's ball pits. And it's just one big party for the dogs and the owners. And they do it for many different breeds. So you've got party like a cockapoo, party like a spaniel, but today we're partying like a dachshund. And they host these events to raise money for many different charities. But the one they're raising money for today is the Dog Meat Trade Dachshund Rescue, and they've provided homes here in the UK for 145 dachshunds who would have been traded for meat in Asia. So I'm going to pop to Bolton and find out more about Pawesome Parties as a whole and the work that they do, but also the Dachshund Rescue, and get their perspective on the dog meat trade as well, and what events like these mean to them and the work that they do. So yeah, let's head to Bolton and party like a dachshund. I cannot wait. So I've arrived in Bolton. I'm surrounded by dachshunds, but I'm going to find out a bit more about the event, and I'm going to speak to DMT Dachshund Rescue as well about what they do to rescue dachshunds from the dog meat trade. So I'm very, very excited to find out more. But there's so much happening here today, it's manic, but I'm loving it. Surrounded by dachshunds, what more could you want? Describe to me what's happening here today and the purpose of this event.
We travel all of Scotland, north of England, and host dog specific events for different breeds. We started with Party Like a Cockapoo, and we now do Party Like a Spaniel and Party Like a Dachshund. It's a great way for the dogs to socialise. It's a fun, family friendly event, and we get to support local businesses that come along, vendors, treat businesses.
And why are events like these so important?
When you come to the party, the dogs get to run around, have a great time. We've got ball pits, bubble machines, lots of sign opportunities, and then we serve puppuccinos 20 minutes in. When they go crazy for it, we do some toppings on them as well. So it's just a fun, family friendly day out, socialising for the dogs, and we have a great time too. It's the best job in the world.
So who have we got here?
We've got Dustin.
This is Carlos.
As a dog owner, why do you like events like these? What do they mean to you?
It's great to be able to bring them somewhere that's secure. You can let them off the lead and let them just go around and have fun. And it's especially good for Dustin because he gets to meet other sausages just like himself. We like getting him as much social time as possible. So yeah, it's a great little day out for him.
It just gives him a bit of socialisation, really. He doesn't get that with any other breeds, really, does he? He just likes his sausage friends, so we do go to quite a few of these events.
So tell me all about DMT, the Dachshund Rescue, and what's the main thing that you stand for?
What we do is we show that we've rescued them and we look after them from when we hear about them to when they come across here. So each dog costs a lot of money to fly across here, and before they fly across they have had all of their vaccinations, they have been checked for any sort of illnesses, they're either treated for illnesses in China or Korea, or when they come over we continue that care as well. And then we look for 5-star homes for these dogs, and then we follow them up, and we have post-adoption as well, of which I'm part of post-adoption, where anyone can come back to us at any time and we support them with either our help, or we get behaviourists, or we have residential support that we can offer them as well.
We spoke earlier about the new law coming into place in South Korea for the dog meat trade to be made illegal by 2027, and we're going to be discussing this with Barami Saw, who is the Director of Government Affairs in the Humane Society International. I also wanted to touch on the other side of this issue and what farmers and restaurant owners think of this new law being put in place. So we'll also be talking to Molly Elwood, who is part of a family-owned business called Elwood's Organic Dog Meat, which is a dog meat farm, who have branches all around the world. Let's speak to both of them and get both their perspectives on this topic and find out a little bit more. Tell me about this new law that's coming into place in 2027. What's the latest on this and how did it all come into practice?
For decades and decades, animal groups, any other people interested in supporting animal welfare, they've been really pushing for illegalizing this specific industry. And then last year, the First Lady showed like a supporting voice to help getting Korea closer to end dog meat, and with other supporting political voices all together, as well as growing public demand, it adds the pressure on the government to take on the action to actually end dog meat. And so last year was actually the first time after many, many decades where the government kind of officialized their position that dog meat, they see that they support ending dog meat. So it was the coming together of all these people, political and public parties, and they meant the time was right to get the ban passed. So about 1 year ago, HSI Korea worked with one of the lawmakers to draft and launch the first special act to ban the dog meat industry. And this kind of was motivated other politicians to introduce the similar bills to end dog meat industry. And so it was all very clear to the government as well that there was a political consensus to finish this industry. And then fast forward, the bill finally passed in January, and so it became a law to end dog meat. Young Koreans, they challenged the idea that dog meat is culture for this country. So all cultures evolve, you know, and they are seldom static, and they respond to new social norms, whether that be about the treatment of women, children, environment, animals, and the dogs. Change is coming for sure, definitely. And for somebody who's been working in this kind of area in the past decade or so, I can definitely see that there is a growing interest and support for better animal welfare in general.
As someone who owns a dog meat farm, what's your perspective on this?
It's pretty outrageous. It's pretty much an attack on farms and farmers and their way of life. So I think that we've got a lot of reckoning to do about, well, what does that mean? If we're going to start tiptoeing across this line, thinking about animal rights, when will it stop? It seems like from dogs, you might ban pigs, you might ban farming of cows. We have the freedom to choose an occupation, right? We can do whatever we'd like. Maybe it's 1/2 of South Koreans are, against farming of dogs. I mean, well, how big does that percentage have to be before they ban other things? Like I said, you know, if you are against the farming of dogs, you probably are against the farming of pigs and chickens. You know, how do we define what an animal feels? I don't, you know, personally, I think that if you're going to farm one, why not farm them all? I think that every farmer should be afraid at this point.
Thank you so much for Pawesome Parties, the DMT Dachshund Rescue, as well as Borami and Molly for letting me speak to you guys on this topic. It was really, really interesting to learn a bit more about what the dog meat trade actually is, and as well as the different perspectives that go with it. But also, I got to party with some dachshunds, so all in all, this has been a very good day. It'll be interesting to see what happens leading up to 2027. With the dog meat trade. I'm sure it will continue to be highly discussed worldwide leading up to that. So maybe I'll do another video on this if anything else happens, or if there's any more updates, or any other perspectives I feel like I could get on this. I did reach out to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Department of Korea for a comment, but I've not had a response from them at this current point in time. If I do hear anything, I will update you guys. Please subscribe and give this a thumbs up if you enjoy these, and I'll see you in my next one.